I finished the Star Wars Squadrons, the new space fighting game, and came away pretty impressed. There's a lot of depth here thanks to the different spaceships you can pick on both the side of the Empire and the New Republic, and almost every single player mission introduces some new elements or is able to change the gameplay up in a way to keep it fresh. In this video I will tell you everything you need to know about this game, that is $40 by the way, and I also played a bit of the multiplayer. Thanks to EA for sponsoring this video. Totally check the game out via the special link in the description. A like on the video would really help the channel out. And let's go. It's pretty cool that in the main story campaign you will be switching sides between the rebels and the Empire, and actually before you start you can customize both pilots and select a range of pre-made faces, choose the body types and also select a male or female voice.
Try not to get in my way.
Our victory is inevitable, of course.
That sounds like the perfect Imperial fighter, but you can by the way change this at any point. You will not speak during the campaign, but when doing commands you will hear the voice you've chosen, and actually also see an icon of your character as well. And also at the end of multiplayer matches you will see your pilot shine if you were the winning team with a pre-selected victory pose, and before matches you can see your teammates while they can spot you. So the customization options are really to leave an impression on the other players. And there are quite a lot of cosmetics to unlock, like helmets and pretty cool outfits, and you do that by earning points that you get at the end of a match or also from challenges. I especially like the figurines that you can put in your cockpit, or the holograms you can also unlock, because most of the time in this game will be spent in the cockpit from one of the 8 different ships. And there are by the way also paint jobs, and after completing the story campaign you get a pretty cool one for the X-Wing. And overall the campaign is very entertaining. In like 7 hours I completed the 14 missions that take place after the Return of the Jedi. And as you operate and switch between both sides, again I think that's really cool. So for example, at one point as a member of the New Republic Squadron you will have successfully pulled off a bait for the Empire, and then your character Titan 3 on the other side has to live with that. And you also see both battle plans as they go up against each other. The New Republic is namely building a very strong new weapon that the Empire wants to stop no matter what, although there might be some personal stakes involved too. And in between missions you will regroup at the hangar and get a mission briefing from your general that explains the mission, but more interesting are some of the optional conversations you can have with the other pilots. Sometimes they give extra information or behind the scenes info about what is going on, but it's mostly just some advice or personal information, so you grow to like the characters a little bit more. My favorites are Shen, the battle-worn Imperial fighter who has seen a lot, maybe too much, you could totally argue that.
The first crash was hardest.
And I really enjoy the gossip from Frisk as well. It makes the conversation you have during your missions more interesting, because you just know a little bit more about the characters that you do these missions with. The game plays well, it's satisfying to take out the many enemy fleets, but the mission objectives are not only focused on taking out other enemies, you will also sometimes need to scan things in the environment, like for example bombs, to make sure if they still work. There are escort missions, or where you have to protect valuable assets, or you can also destroy a ton of things and then lure the opposing faction. As I already told you in the intro, I was pretty surprised by the amount of different elements they introduced. Like almost every mission they throw something new at you. And it makes the single player campaign also really important for learning basic elements and also more advanced tactics, so you can be way better in the multiplayer. Like knowing that your ship has different stances is super important. They each focus on something else: a shield, firepower, speed, or you can also go for a balanced approach. And you can easily switch at any point, and knowing when to do that will be extremely important. While you shoot onto a target for multiple seconds, totally go for the extra firepower, while switching to your shield is super handy when many enemies got you in their sight. And the campaign will also teach you about the targeting system, how you can evade incoming missiles, and you also get to control each ship for at least one mission, so you can already learn how to move them around and use their special abilities before fighting other players. The campaign will start out very basic, but for later missions you can choose your preferred spaceship and choose the weapons, auxiliary and way more. And while in the campaign everything is free, in the multiplayer every upgrade will cost 1 point that you earn by leveling up. So already knowing which you prefer will immediately let you buy the upgrades that you want the most. I'm personally leaning towards the interceptor class that maybe drops fast but can also take out enemy ships extremely fast. I'm still trying to find the best loadout because the options are pretty impactful, and there are some slight changes by the way between the same classes for each faction. A big one is the cockpit. Like, I prefer to have a clean view, while some of the ships block a ton of your screen. You can get used to it, but it totally did impact some of my choices. There are support ships as one of the classes that can give shields, for example, to allies. And we also got the bombers that are very good at taking out large capital ships, something that you totally have to do for the fleet battle mode. There's an unranked version against AI, or also a ranked version versus real players with a whole ranking system applied to it that can give you extra cosmetics. It's a 5v5 mode where you are either part of the New Republic or the Empire and have to destroy the flagship from the other team, but it's easier said than done. There are namely multiple phases. First you have to build up morale that you get by taking out enemy players, smaller AI ships that will be flying around as well, and larger ships like raiders that will totally cause some mayhem. Like, there's a ton going on, and it takes some time to fully keep track of everything and understand that you should not fly too close to some of the larger enemy ships. If the morale is all the way to the left or right, then the team that has the upper hand can push through, and then has to focus on two larger cruisers. If those are destroyed, they can focus on the flagship, and the Empire of course has a Star Destroyer that has multiple weak spots like shield generators that you want to take out first. You can ping specific things, but overall I really think that you want to communicate with your team, and there is voice chat for that, but I'm sure it works best if you really got a pre-made team together. But again, the cool part is that you can also play this mode more casually alone or with other players online against the AI, and this will also give you XP and increase your overall level to get new loadout unlocks and new cosmetics. And you, by the way, also have the dogfight mode that you can easily select from the quick match feature in the main menu. It is a simple 5v5 team deathmatch in smaller versions of the overall pretty diverse maps. Like, sometimes there will be many things blocking your view, while there are maps where you can more easily keep track of your enemy. And it's also awesome that the maps look quite distinct, from red clouds to a scrap yard with broken parts in the way. For $40 you get a pretty big package with like a multiplayer that will have different operations with new cosmetics coming down the line. You can also replay the different campaign missions on one of the 4 difficulties and then try and get some of the medals that you missed the first time around, and these will also be linked to trophies and achievements. Again, you can check the game out via the link in the video description. I'll be streaming it as well and have a countdown timer already up on the channel. You can find it in the pinned comment, so I hope to see you there. Like, totally, if you have questions, ask them during the stream. I will gladly answer them. Subscribe, of course, for that stream and more Star Wars content. A like on the video would really help the channel out. Thanks again to EA for sponsoring the video, and I will speak to you next time. Goodbye!